All right, Nick, let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle is in a position in this year's draft that's very important. There's a lot of things kind of fleshing out ahead of Seattle. And I think things are coming down to the wire as this spot that Seattle is in the draft is going to be very important, not only for them, but for other teams in the draft. And we have a really interesting story about that today.
Yeah, Mike, it's a very interesting report used, right, where they're describing exactly what opportunities are in front of the Seahawks, kind of some under the radar stuff that some Seattle fans may have missed. But before we get into that, Seahawks fans, we want to hear from you guys as always in the comment section below. Obviously, the Seahawks sit at number 5. We want to hear from you guys. What do you want the Seahawks to do with the number 5 pick? Do you want them to trade back? Do you have a player in mind that you want them to take number 5 overall? Whatever you think they should do, let us know in the comment section below, and make sure you stick around to the end of this video to hear from our partner for today's content, Nero. But all right, Miles, what you got? What's the latest out of Seattle?
Yeah, Nick, I think Seahawks fans should, pay attention and answer that question very carefully because it's going to be a lot more important than some people do realize. And over at Yahoo Sports, Tim Weaver wrote a very interesting article that's kind of jump off our conversation for today. And I'm going to pull up a snippet from that article right now. Let's get into it, Nick. It says, the Seahawks were busy in free agency this year, which no denying that they definitely were. They splurged to fix their defensive front seven by signing 2 interior D linemen, 2 off-ball linebackers, among other additions on the offensive side of the ball. But, Nick, according to the figures at Over the Cap, Seattle has roughly $4.1-ish million available of cap space in 2023. But that does not account for what it's going to cost to sign this rookie draft class, Nick. So their effective cap space is now negative $5 million. So $5 million over the cap currently. They're going to have to do some stuff to get that number down, obviously. But I think this is the overarching point we're getting at today, Nick, is the draft is the last bastion for improvement before the season for the Seahawks. They don't really have enough cap space. They're going to have to make some cuts to get under the cap, even just to sign the rookies, Nick. They can't pick up many more free agents, if any at all. So they got to look to the draft to do any final improvements for this team. This team has already improved tenfold from last year. They're looking really strong. They ended on a strong note last year. But I think the draft is going to be the big ticket for the Seahawks going to finish out this offseason. But Nick, how exactly important do you think this draft is for the Seahawks, and what does all this mean?
So it's not just obviously doing well in the draft and getting good players, it's getting the right players at the right positions. And you did an excellent job going through that, Miles, about the report about their effective cap space. And what drives that number is where you pick in the draft, right? The number 1 overall pick is going to get paid a lot more and therefore have a bigger salary cap hit than the number 10 overall pick, and so on and things like that. Now, where does that matter for Seattle? Seattle currently holds, among other draft picks, the number 5 overall pick. That is one of the more expensive selections in the NFL draft. If the Seahawks want to free up some effective cap space to make sure they can lock in all their rookies, they don't have to cut anybody later, if they like their core, or potentially add in a veteran somewhere down the line. No matter how they want to do it, if they want to free up cap space, the most logical way to do that is, of course, to trade back, right? If they trade from, say, 5 to 15, then they open up some cap space because they'll only have to spend less at the number 15 spot than they would at number 5. So what does that mean? It means you have to find a partner willing to trade back. Now you go into the latest news regarding the NFL draft, Miles. All reports show that picks 1 and 2, Carolina and Houston, are going to be quarterback. Now it looks like the Indianapolis Colts have fallen in love with Will Levis at number 4, quarterback out of Kentucky. What does that mean? It means the Seahawks at number 5 are the breaking point for anybody who wants Anthony Richardson, the quarterback out of University of Florida, the physically gifted guy that a lot of teams really like as a project, but he certainly has all the tools you could ever want in a franchise quarterback. So what do the Seahawks do, right? They're sitting there at number 5. They probably don't want Richardson, but they really want to trade back. So they want to do is generate a lot of value, a lot of demand for Anthony Richardson, and make people think that they are. So what do the Seahawks do? They go out and do everything they can to have dinners and take pictures and be all over social media with Anthony Richardson, create some extra demand for this guy, make some of the other guys that may have really liked Richardson that pick at number 12, 13, 14, go like, whoa, we're going to really have to go and make sure we give Seattle enough picks, number 5 overall, to move up and get them, because they are interested in Richardson and other guys might be too, right? They're creating that demand for the market so that way someone can trade trade up with them, they can trade back. It frees up their effective cap space, and it lets them to do what they do best. Miles, this is my final point. The Seahawks are really great at drafting after the first round. They're good in the first round, but they're really great at drafting second, third, fourth, fifth round, right? The last few years are proof of that. So if they trade back, what does that mean? That means they're probably going to get, 2 third rounds, 2 more fifth rounders, things like that. And the Seahawks are so good at getting those players at those positions in the NFL draft. So it's sort of a win-win-win situation for the Seahawks. All they have to do, though, is to make sure they find a partner to trade back. And what's the best way to help your situation there? Create more demand for your current selection. So no matter how you look at it, I think the Seahawks are handling this brilliantly because obviously, like you said, Miles, their cap space situation effectively isn't great, but they're having the genius approach to solve the problem. All right, Miles, we would like to give a special thanks to our partner in today's video, Neuro.
That's right, Nick. And I want you to go with me on a journey really fast. I want you to imagine this. It's 4th and goal in the big game, Nick. Your team is relying on you to make the big-time game-winning play. I know you've been in this situation before, Nick. The stadium is roaring. The clock is ticking. The game is on the line. But if only in that moment you were able to have some Neuro Gum. Neuro Gum will help you stay concentrated, and it gives you a burst of energy without a nasty crash.
That's right, Miles. Neuro has thoughtfully curated ingredients and does endless lab testing, which means that you can reach the right state of mind safely and consistently. That's the most important part. It gives you a clean burst of energy and focus without the jitters of coffee or any of those other energy drinks.
That's right, Nick. And if you click our sponsor link in the description below, you can enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.